Captain Hyunwoo Kim was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He dropped his cup and ran to the control room of the International Space Defense Command. The coffee splashed on the white floor, but he did not care. Something big was happening. "Sir, we have contacts," said Lieutenant Jin-Ho Park, his voice shaking. "Multiple contacts, very large ones." Hyunwoo looked at the main screen. His mouth fell open. Huge shapes were appearing in space above Earth. They were not meteors or space junk. These were ships bigger than anything humans had ever built. The computer tried to count them but kept changing numbers. 10 ships, then 20, then 50. "How did they get so close without us seeing them?" Hyunwoo asked. "We do not know, sir," Jin-Ho replied. "They just appeared. Our sensors show nothing, then suddenly they were there." The ships were beautiful in a strange way. They looked like they were made of silver and light. They did not look like the warships humans made. These looked peaceful, almost like art floating in space. But their size made Hyunwoo's hands shake. Each ship was as big as a city. In Seoul, Ambassador Taemin Park was in an emergency meeting when his phone rang. The caller ID said, "Space." "Command, urgent." He answered quickly. "Ambassador, we need you at headquarters now." Hyunwoo's voice was tight. "We have visitors." Taemin had been Earth's top diplomat for 15 years. He had dealt with angry presidents, difficult trade, deals in international crisis, but aliens, this was new. He grabbed his coat and ran to his car. Dr. So-Young Lee was in her lab studying bacteria when her assistant burst in. "Doctor, turn on the news right now." So-Young had spent her life studying life forms. She knew how living things worked, how they evolved, how they survived. But the creatures on the news screen made her feel very small. The news reporter was trying to stay calm, but failing. "The alien ships have been in orbit for 2 hours now," the reporter said. "World leaders are meeting an emergency session. The aliens have not made contact yet, but..." The reporter stopped talking. A new voice came from the speakers, clear and speaking perfect English. "People of Earth, we greet you in peace. We are the Galactic Protection Consortium. We come with an offer that will change your world forever." So-Young sat down hard. The voice sounded human but wrong somehow. Too perfect, too smooth, like someone reading from a script. "We know you have many questions. We will answer them all. Please gather your leaders. We wish to speak with those who can make decisions for your species." The transmission ended. So-Young stared at the screen. In all her years studying life, she had learned one thing. When something seemed too good to be true, it usually was. Engineer Dong-Hyun Choi was fixing a satellite dish when the alien ships appeared. He was high up on a building in Busan, working on communication equipment. The ships blocked out the sun. He sat down on the roof and watched them float in the sky like giant metal clouds. Dong-Hyun had built machines his whole life. He understood how things worked, how they were made, what they were for. The alien ships confused him. They were too clean, too perfect. Human ships always showed their purpose. These ships hid their purpose behind beauty. His phone rang. It was his boss. "Dong-Hyun, get back here now. They want all the engineers for an emergency meeting." 3 hours later, the world leaders gathered in Geneva. The meeting room had been set up with cameras and communication equipment. Ambassador Taemin sat at the main table with presidents and prime ministers from every major country. The alien transmission came at exactly noon. "Greetings, leaders of Earth. I am first speaker of the Galactic Protection Consortium. We have watched your species grow and develop. You have reached a point where you need our help." The alien appeared on screen. It looked almost human, but taller and thinner. Its skin was pale blue and its eyes were too large. It wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid metal. "Your world is beautiful and your people show great promise," the first speaker continued. "But space is dangerous. There are forces in this galaxy that destroy young civilizations like yours. We offer protection." President Martinez of the United States leaned forward. "What kind of protection?" "Complete protection. Our ships will guard your solar system. Our technology will advance your civilization by thousands of years. Your people will never know war, hunger, or disease again. The room was quiet. It sounded wonderful, almost too wonderful. What do you want in return? Asked Prime Minister Chen from China. Very little. Only that you accept our guidance. We have protected many worlds. We know what works and what does not. You will keep your governments, your cultures, your way of life. We only ask that you follow our advice on matters of galactic importance. Dr. So Young watched from the science observation room. She had been studying the alien's image while it spoke. Something was wrong with its face. The expressions did not match the emotions in its voice. It was like watching a puppet. The first speaker smiled. We know this is much to consider. We will give you time to decide. But please decide quickly. The dangers we speak of are real and they grow closer every day. What dangers? Asked Chancellor Hoffmann from Germany. Can you tell us more about these threats? The alien's smile flickered for just a moment. There are civilizations that consume other civilizations, pirates that steal and kill, forces of destruction that you cannot imagine. But do not worry. Once you accept our protection, you will never need to fear them. After the transmission ended, the room exploded with voices. Everyone was talking at once. Some leaders wanted to accept immediately. Others wanted more information. Dong Hyun had been watching from the engineering section. When the meeting broke up, he walked to the main table where Ambassador Tai Min was gathering his papers. Ambassador, Dong Hyun said quietly, I have a question. Tai Min looked up. What is it, Engineer Choi? The alien said they would protect us from dangerous civilizations and pirates and forces of destruction. Yes, that is correct. Dong Hyun looked around the room. World leaders were still arguing in small groups. Scientists were checking their equipment. Military officers were making phone calls. Sir, if they are so powerful and have been protecting civilizations for so long, why are these dangerous forces still out there? Why have they not stopped them already? Taemin stopped shuffling his papers. What do you mean? I mean, if you have the power to protect everyone, would you not use that power to get rid of the threat completely? Why let dangerous civilizations keep existing if you can stop them? The room slowly got quiet as people heard Dong Hyun's words. And another thing, Dong Hyun continued. They said these threats are getting closer to Earth, but how do the threats know about Earth? We have only been sending radio signals for about 100 years. This galaxy is huge. How did both the protectors and the threats find us at the same time? Ambassador Taemin felt his stomach drop. In all his years of diplomacy, he had learned to spot lies and half-truths. Dong Hyun had just pointed out something everyone had missed. Engineer Choi, Tai Min said slowly, I think you need to ask that question directly to our new friends. But, even as he said it, Taemin knew they would not get a straight answer. The alien's smile had flickered when asked about the threats. That flickering smile told him more than all the beautiful words about protection and peace. Something was very wrong with this offer. And Dong Hyun had just asked the question that might save them all. The next morning, Ambassador Taemin requested another meeting with the aliens. This time, Engineer Dong Hyun was invited to sit at the table. The alien first speaker appeared on screen again, but something was different. Its perfect smile seemed forced now. We are pleased to speak with you again, the first speaker said. Have you considered our generous offer? Taemin looked at Dong Hyun and nodded. We have some questions first. Yesterday, Engineer Choi raised an important point about the threats you mentioned. The alien's large eyes focused on Dong Hyun. Yes? What is your question, young human? Dong Hyun stood up. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. You said you protect civilizations from dangerous forces. If you are so powerful, why do these dangerous forces still exist? Why have you not eliminated them? For 3 seconds, the first speaker said nothing. On the screen, its face went completely still. When it spoke again, its voice was different, less smooth. The galaxy is vast, Engineer Choi. Even we cannot be everywhere at once. We focus on protection rather than aggression. But you said the threats are getting closer to Earth, Dong Hyun continued. How do they know about us? How did you know about us? We have only been visible to space for a very short time. Another long pause. This time the alien's smile disappeared completely. We monitor many developing worlds. It is our duty to find those who need protection before the threats find them. Dr. So Young had been watching the alien's face carefully. She had studied thousands of creatures and learned to read their emotions through their expressions. The first speaker was lying. Every micro-expression, every pause, every change in posture told her the same thing. After the meeting ended, Captain Mi-jin Yoon gathered her intelligence team in a secure room deep underground. Mi-jin had spent 20 years in military intelligence. She knew how to find secrets that people tried to hide. I want to know everything about those ships, she told her team. Use every satellite, every telescope, every sensor we have. I want to know what they are really doing up there. Lieutenant Kyung-soo Han raised his hand. Captain, what are we looking for exactly? Anything that does not match what they told. Us, Mi-jin replied. They say they are peaceful protectors. Let us see if their actions match their words. 3 days later, Kyung-soo came running into Mi-jin's office with a folder full of photographs. Captain, you need to see this, he said, spreading the photos on her desk. These are high-resolution images of the alien ships taken with our best space telescopes. Mi-jin picked up the first photo. It showed one of the alien ships close up. The beautiful silver surface was covered with scars and burns. Parts of the ship looked like they had been torn away and replaced with different materials. These ships have been in battles, Kyung-soo said. Recent battles. Look at this one. He pointed to another photo. This ship had entire sections that were clearly not original. Different types of metal, different designs, like someone had glued pieces from other ships onto it. It looks like they took parts from other ships and added them to their own. Mi-jin said quietly. Why would protectors need to do that? There is more, Captain. Kyung-soo pulled out another set of photos. We found energy readings that match at least 6 different technological signatures. These ships are not just damaged and repaired. They are collections of technology from many different sources. Mi-jin felt cold. How many different sources? At least 12, maybe more. Captain, it is like these ships ate other ships and absorbed their technology. Across the city, Dr. So Young was conducting her own investigation. She had requested biological samples from the aliens for cultural exchange purposes. They had agreed and sent down small samples of their food and some cellular material. Under her microscope, the alien cells told a disturbing story. Hey Jin, come look at this, she called to her assistant. Hey Jin looked through the microscope. What am I looking at, doctor? Alien DNA. But notice anything strange? Hey Jin adjusted the focus. It looks like there are multiple DNA structures in the same cell. That is impossible. Not impossible, So Young corrected. Just very, very artificial. This creature is not naturally evolved. It is a combination of genetic material from many different species. She pulled up another slide. And this is even stranger. Look at this cellular structure, Hey Jin gasped. Those look like human genetic markers. Exactly. And these look like they could be from reptilian species. And these from something completely different. This first speaker is not a single species. It is a collection of species merged together. That evening, historian Jae Sung-han was working late in the National Library. He had been researching every historical case of a powerful civilization offering protection to a weaker one. The results were not encouraging. His phone rang. It was Ambassador Tae-min. Jae-sung, I need your historical analysis. What happens when someone offers protection without being asked? Jae-sung looked at his computer screen full of research. Nothing good, Tae-min. In human history, when a strong group offers protection to a weak group, the weak group always loses their independence, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly, but they always lose it. Give me examples. The Romans offered protection to many smaller kingdoms. Those kingdoms became Roman provinces. The European colonial powers offered protection to native peoples around the world. Those peoples lost their lands and cultures. Even in recent times, when powerful nations offer protection to smaller nations, the smaller nations end up owing debts they cannot repay. Taemin was quiet for a moment. What about cases where the protection was genuine? Very rare. And even then, the protected group had to give up something important: their freedom to make choices, their right to say no, their ability to determine their own future. While Jae-sung was researching history, Communications Officer Yoon Ji-song was working on a different puzzle. She had been monitoring alien communications since they arrived. Most of their signals were encrypted, but sometimes she could catch fragments. Late at night, when she thought no one was listening, she heard something that made her blood freeze. "Target assessment complete," said a voice in what sounded like the aliens' language. "Population estimated at 8 billion. Resource extraction potential high. Integration timeline. Standard protocol." Yoon Ji quickly recorded everything. She ran the partial translation through her computers. The results made her hands shake. Integration timeline was mentioned 14 times in the intercepted messages. Resource extraction appeared 21 times. Population management appeared 8 times. But the phrase that scared her most was repeated in every single transmission: "Harvest schedule optimal." She called Captain Mijin immediately. "Captain, I think I know what they really want," she said when Mijin answered. "What?" "Us. They want to harvest us." The next morning, all the investigators met in a secure conference room. Ambassador Taemin listened as each person shared their discoveries. Mijin showed the photos of battle-damaged ships made from multiple technologies. So Young explained the artificial genetic combinations in the alien samples. Jae-sung presented his historical analysis of protection offers. Yoon-ji played the translated communication fragments. When everyone finished, the room was silent. "So, let me understand this correctly," Taemin said slowly. "The aliens are not a single species but a combination of many species. Their ships are collections of technology taken from other civilizations. They have been in recent battles. And their private communications mention harvesting and integration." "That is correct, sir," Mijin replied. "And historically, protection offers always result in the loss of independence for the protected group." "Always," Jae-sung confirmed. Taemin stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were going about their normal lives, not knowing that their future was being decided in rooms like this one. "There is one more thing," So Young said quietly. "I analyzed the aliens' facial expressions during the video calls. Every time we ask direct questions about the threats or about specifics of their protection, they show signs of deception. They are definitely lying about something." Dong-hyun, who had been quiet through the whole meeting, finally spoke up. "I've been thinking about their technology. They offered to advance our civilization by thousands of years. But why would they do that for free?" "What do you mean?" Taemin asked. "Think about it like business. If someone has technology worth thousands of years of development, that technology is extremely valuable. Nobody gives away extremely valuable things for nothing. There has to be a payment, even if they are not telling us what it is." Mijin nodded. "And based on what we have found, I think the payment is us. Our civilization, our people, our planet." "But they seem so peaceful," Hae-jin said. "They have not threatened us or attacked us." "That is exactly the problem," Jae-sung replied. "The most successful conquests in history were done by people who convinced their victims to surrender willingly. Why fight a war when you can convince people to give you what you want?" Taemin turned from the window. "So what do we do? If we say no, they might attack us. If we say yes, they will absorb us slowly." "There is a third option," Dong-hyun said. "We can ask more questions. Make them explain exactly what they mean by protection. Make them tell us exactly what these threats are. Make them prove that the threats are real." "They will just lie more," So Young pointed out. "Maybe. But lies are harder to keep." Captain Hyun-woo made a decision that would change everything. After hearing the reports from the investigation team, he knew they needed real answers, not more. "Alien lies." He called in his best pilot. "Chang-min," he said to pilot Chang-min Kang, "I need you to take a small team and investigate something for me." Chang-min had been flying spacecraft for 12 years. He was the best pilot in the Space Defense Force, and he was not afraid of dangerous missions. "What do you need, Captain?" Yunji intercepted some coordinates from the alien communications. "I want you to visit those locations and see what is there. How far are these coordinates?" "Some are close within our solar system. Others are further away but still reachable with our fastest ships." Changmin nodded. "What are we looking for?" "Evidence. The aliens keep talking about threats and dangerous civilizations. I want to know if those threats are real." 2 days. Later, Changmin launched in the stealth ship Aurora with 3 crew members. The first coordinates were near Jupiter. As they approached the location, their sensors detected something large floating in space. "Changmin, you need to see this," said Navigator Boram Lee from her station. On the main screen appeared a massive structure. It looked like it had once been a space station or a ship, but now it was dark and broken. Parts of it were missing, like something had torn chunks away. "Take us closer," Changmin ordered. As they got nearer, they could see the structure more clearly. It was definitely artificial, built by intelligent beings. But it was dead. No power, no life signs, no signals. "How long has it been floating here?" asked engineer Taekyung Park. "Based on the radiation damage and debris patterns, I would say at least 50 years, Boram replied. They spent 6 hours exploring the dead structure. Inside, they found empty rooms that had once held advanced technology. But all the technology was gone. The rooms were stripped clean, like someone had carefully removed everything valuable. This was not destroyed by weapons, Taekyung observed. This was methodically emptied. Someone took everything useful and left the empty shell. Changmin recorded everything they found. Then they traveled to the next coordinates. The second location was even more disturbing. They found an entire fleet of dead ships floating in formation. 23 vessels of different sizes and designs, all dark and empty. "These ships are from different civilizations," Boram said, studying the designs. "Look at the hull patterns and construction methods. At least 4 different technologies here." "What happened to the crews?" asked Communications Officer Yunseo Kim. "They boarded several of the ships." The answer was simple and terrifying. There were no crews, no bodies, no signs of battle, no emergency evacuation. The crews had simply vanished. But like the first structure, all the advanced technology had been carefully removed. "It is like someone collected these ships and then processed them," Taekyung said. "Removed the people, took the technology, left the empty shells." Changmin felt sick. "How many people do you think were on these ships?" "Based on the ship sizes and crew requirements, probably around 15,000 beings," Boram calculated. They visited 4 more locations over the next 3 days. Every location was the same: dead structures, empty ships, missing populations, and stripped technology. No signs of battle, no signs of destruction from external forces, just careful, methodical emptying. Back on Earth, Dr. So Young was conducting her own investigation. She had been studying the alien food samples more carefully and made a disturbing discovery. "Hey Jin, look at this protein analysis," she called to her assistant. Hey Jin looked at the computer screen. "These are very complex proteins. Much more complex than anything we have seen before." "Yes, but look at the base amino acid structures. Some of these match Earth biology. Others match what we would expect from different planetary environments." "What does that mean?" So Young pulled up another screen showing genetic analysis. "It means their food is not from one world. It is a combination of foods from many different worlds. They are eating a diet that includes biological material from dozens of different planets." Hey Jin sat down hard. "You mean they are eating?" "I think they are eating the civilizations they conquer. Not directly, but they are processing the biological resources of entire worlds into their food supply." At the same time, negotiator Hyewan Jung was having cultural exchange meetings with different aliens from the consortium. She was supposedly learning about their society, but really she was gathering intelligence. "Tell me about your home world," she said to an alien called Second Voice who looked different from the first speaker. This one was shorter and had green skin instead of blue. "We come from many worlds," Second Voice replied. "The consortium is made up of beings from across the galaxy." "How interesting," Were you all originally spacefaring species? No, many of us were recruited when our worlds needed protection. Haiwan noticed the pause before the word recruited. What was your world like before joining the consortium? Second voice's expression changed. For just a moment it looked sad. We were farmers, peaceful people who grew food and made art. Then the consortium came and offered us protection from raiders. And now you travel the galaxy offering protection to others? Yes, it is. It is our purpose now. After the meeting, Haiwan wrote down everything she remembered. The word recruited bothered her. So did the sadness in second voice's expression. It sounded like these beings had not joined the consortium voluntarily. General Wu Jin Li was working on a different puzzle. He had been analyzing the alien ship's arrival patterns and found something strange. Lieutenant Sung Ho Park, look at this data, he called to his aide. Sung Ho studied the computer display. These are the approach vectors of the alien ships when they first appeared. Correct. Now, where do those vectors originate from? Sung Ho traced the lines back through space. They come from the edge of our solar system, from the direction of Pluto. Exactly. They did not come from deep space as they claimed. They came from inside our solar system. Maybe they stopped at the edge to prepare for first contact? Wu Jin pulled up more data. I checked our long-range sensor records for the past 5 years. There have been unexplained energy readings in that area for at least 3 years. Faint readings, but consistent. You think they have been watching us? I think they have been living at the edge of our solar system for years, studying us, preparing for this moment. The surprise first contact was completely fake. Engineer Kyung-Ho Park was working in his laboratory, trying to understand the alien technology samples they had been given. What he found made him very uncomfortable. The alien devices were incredibly advanced, but they had a hidden flaw. Every piece of technology included components that could not be manufactured on Earth. If humans started using this technology, they would need replacement parts that only the aliens could provide. It is like a drug dealer giving free samples, he explained to his team. The first dose is free, but once you are addicted, you have to keep buying from them forever. He also discovered that the alien technology included monitoring systems that would report back to the consortium. Any civilization using their technology would be constantly watched and controlled. They are not offering us advancement, he told Ambassador Taemin. They are offering us technological slavery. When Chang Min returned from his investigation mission, he brought data that confirmed everyone's worst fears. He showed them images of 12 dead civilizations, all with the same pattern: empty ships, missing populations, and stripped technology. Captain, there is something else, Changmin told Hyunwoo privately. At the last location, we found something that was not dead. What do you mean? A single alien ship different from the consortium ships. It was hidden behind an asteroid watching one of the dead fleets. When it detected us, it ran away very fast. Did you get a good look at it? Yes, sir. It looked scared. The ship was small and fast, built for hiding and running. I think it was a survivor from one of the destroyed civilizations. Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair. So there are beings out there who survived whatever the consortium did to their civilizations? Yes, sir. And they are hiding from the consortium. That evening, all the investigators met again to share their findings. The picture they put together was horrifying. The consortium was not protecting civilizations from external threats. The consortium was the threat. They would approach developing civilizations, offer protection, and then slowly absorb them. The people would disappear, the technology would be taken, and the empty remnants would be left floating in space. How many civilizations do you think they have destroyed? Asked Taiman. Based on what we found, dozens at least. Changmin replied, maybe hundreds. And they want to do the same thing to Earth. That is exactly what they want to do. Dr. So Young spoke up. The biological evidence supports this. They are literally consuming the civilizations they conquer, breaking them down into biological resources. The technology evidence supports it too, added Kyung-ho. Their offer of advancement is actually a trap to make us dependent on them. Yunji raised her hand. I intercepted more communications. They are discussing timeline acceleration. Something about other prospects requiring attention and resource allocation deadlines. Changmin's most important discovery came 3 days later, during what was supposed to be his final scouting mission. He was investigating coordinates from the far edge of alien communications when his sensors detected something that changed everything. Navigator Boram, what is that object ahead of us? Changmin asked, pointing at a strange signal on their display. It appears to be a ship, but the energy signature is very weak. It might be damaged or powered down. As they approached, they could see it was definitely an alien vessel, but not like the consortium ships. This one was smaller, darker, and covered with what looked like stealth plating. It was drifting near a small asteroid, almost hidden from view. Life signs? Changmin asked. Faint, but yes, someone is alive on that ship. Changmin made a risky decision. Send them a basic mathematical sequence, let them know we are intelligent beings. After a few minutes, the alien ship responded with its own mathematical pattern. Then it sent a simple message in broken English. You, from Earth? Yes, Changmin replied. Who are you? There was a long pause. Then, survivors, warning. Consortium, danger. You. Changmin felt his heart racing. Can you come aboard our ship? We need to talk. Another pause. You, alone? No consortium? Just us. No consortium. An hour later, 2 alien beings came aboard the Aurora. They looked nothing like the consortium aliens. These were shorter, with gray skin and large black eyes. They moved carefully like animals that had been hunted for a long time. The first alien spoke in broken but understandable English. I am Scientist Vel, this is Engineer Crow. We are, last ones, from our world. What happened to your world? Changmin asked gently. Vel's large eyes became wet. Consortium came, offered protection, we believed. Big mistake, Crow spoke up. They said threats coming, said they save us, we gave them permission to build bases on our world. Then what happened? Slowly they took control, said our government not efficient, said they make better decisions. Then they said, our people need education in consortium ways. Vel continued the story. They took our children first, said they give them better education on consortium ships. Parents never saw children again. Changmin felt sick. How many people lived on your world? 3 billion, Crow replied. Now only few hundred hide in space like us. Rest are gone. Gone where? Processed, Vel said the word like it tasted. But consortium turns people into resources. Some become workers, some become food, some become genetic material for making new consortium members. Engineer Taekyung spoke up. How long did this process take? 27 of your years, Crow answered. Very slow, very careful. Always they said it was for our protection. Always they said threats were coming soon. But the threats never came? No threats. Only consortium. They are the threat. Changmin asked the question that had been bothering him. Why did you not fight back? Vel looked sad. How do you fight? Beings who control your technology? How do you fight when they have your children? How do you fight when they promise the fighting will stop if you just cooperate? Some tried to fight, Crow added. Those ones disappeared first. Changmin realized he needed to get this information back to Earth immediately. Will you come with us? Will you help us warn our people? The 2 aliens looked at each other. Too dangerous. Consortium has sensors. They know we exist. If we go near your world, they will know we talk to you. Then how can we prove what you have told us? Vel reached into a bag and pulled out a small device. This is data recorder from our world. Contains records of what happened to us. Pictures, documents, population records, everything. Taekyung carefully took the device. Will this work with our computers? It should. We studied your technology before you knew we existed. Made it compatible. Crow added. There is something else you must know. You asked why Consortium being careful with your world. Why they not just attack directly? Yes, why? Because something changed. Deep space scanning shows new threat approaching this region of galaxy. Very big threat. Consortium needs warriors to fight it. Changmin leaned forward. What kind of warriors? Your kind, Vel replied. Humans very strange. Most civilizations, when threatened, they seek peace or hide. Humans do something different. What do we do? You fight. You create weapons. You refuse to surrender. Consortium has observed your wars, your conflicts. You have quality they need. Crow nodded. They want to harvest your fighting spirit, your weapons technology, your ability to be violent when necessary. Other civilizations too peaceful. Humans perfect for what they need. What is this new threat they are worried about? We do not know. Exactly. Our data was limited before we escaped. But Consortium very afraid. They need army to fight something they cannot defeat alone. After the aliens left, Changmin's team spent the entire journey back to Earth studying the data recorder. What they found was worse than anything they had imagined. The device contained the complete destruction of an entire civilization, documented day by day. Pictures showed Consortium ships arriving peacefully. Documents showed agreements being signed. Then slowly the pictures showed Consortium bases growing larger while alien cities grew smaller. Population records showed the systematic removal of beings from their homes. First the criminals and troublemakers, then the intellectuals and leaders, then the skilled workers, and finally everyone else. The most horrible part was how normal it all looked. No dramatic battles, no burning cities. Just forms being filled out, people boarding transport ships, and empty buildings being left behind. It looks like a bureaucratic process, Tae-kyung observed. Like they were processing paperwork instead of destroying a civilization. That is probably why it worked. Boram replied. If they had attacked with weapons, people would have fought back. Instead, they made it seem official and legal. Back on Earth, Dr. Ji Hu-yoon had been analyzing the psychological profiles of the Consortium aliens. He was a specialist in understanding how different species think and behave. Ambassador Taemin, I need to show you something, he said during an urgent meeting. I have been studying the alien behavior patterns, and I think I understand why they chose Earth. What did you find? Ji-Hu pulled up charts and graphs on his computer. Most intelligent species in the galaxy appear to be naturally peaceful. When faced with a superior threat, they cooperate to survive. This makes them easy for the Consortium to control. But humans are different. Very different. Humans have a unique response to being threatened. Instead of cooperating, we become more creative, more aggressive, more unpredictable. We invent new ways to fight. Tae-min thought about human history. You mean our wars and conflicts are actually advantages? Exactly. The Consortium has probably absorbed hundreds of peaceful civilizations. But now they face a threat they cannot handle with peaceful, cooperative beings. They need warriors. So they want to turn us into their personal army? That is exactly what they want. They want to harvest our military abilities and use them against whatever is coming from deep space. Captain Mi-jin's intelligence team had been working around the clock to verify the information from the alien survivors. What they found supported every detail. The Consortium has been systematically destroying civilizations for at least 300 years, Mi-jin reported. Based on the evidence, they have processed over 200 worlds. How many beings is that? Asked General Wu Jin. Billions, possibly trillions. They are not just conquering civilizations, they are consuming them completely. Lieutenant Kyung-soo showed them a map of the galaxy with red dots marking known Consortium activities. They work in a pattern. They approach developing civilizations that are just becoming spacefaring. They offer protection. Then they slowly absorb them over 20 to 50 years. Why do they take so long? Asked Ambassador Taemin. Because fast conquest creates resistance, Mi-jin replied. Slow conquest creates cooperation. The victims help with their own destruction because they think they are being protected. Dr. So-young had finished analyzing all the biological samples. Her conclusions were terrifying. The Consortium members are not natural beings, she reported. They are artificial constructions made from the genetic material of conquered civilizations. The first speaker contains genetic material from at least 15 different species. You mean they are built from their victims? Exactly. They take the best genetic traits from each civilization and combine them into new beings. These new beings have no connection to their original species. They exist only to serve the consortium. What about their emotions, their personalities? Artificially programmed. They are designed to be excellent at deception, negotiation, and long-term planning. They are like biological machines built for conquest. Historian Jae Sung had been researching similar patterns in human history. Every successful conquering civilization used the same basic method, he reported. Romans, Mongols, British Empire, all of them offered benefits to their victims in exchange for cooperation. But this is different, Taiman pointed out. Those were human civilizations conquering other humans. This is aliens conquering different species entirely. The method is the same, Jae Sung insisted. Offer protection, create dependence, gradually take control, absorb the victim completely. The only difference is the scale. Communications officer Yoon-ji had intercepted more alien transmissions. The latest messages were increasingly urgent. They are discussing timeline acceleratio. President In-ho Kim had not slept in 3 days. The evidence presented by the investigation team was overwhelming and terrifying. He sat in the emergency bunker, deep under Seoul, surrounded by the leaders of every major nation on Earth. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, he said, looking around the table. The aliens who offered us protection are actually galactic predators who have consumed hundreds of civilizations. They want to turn us into their personal army to fight some unknown threat from deep space, and if we refuse, they will destroy our cities and take what they want by force. Ambassador Tae-min nodded. That is an accurate summary, Mr. President. And we have proof of all this? Extensive proof. Video evidence from survivor civilizations, biological analysis proving their artificial nature, intercepted communications discussing our harvest, and documentation of their methods. President Kim looked at the other world leaders. Recommendations? Chancellor Hoffmann from Germany spoke first. We cannot fight them militarily. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. We cannot run, added Prime Minister Chen from China. They found us here. They will find us anywhere we go. We cannot negotiate, said President Martinez from the United States. They have no interest in fair deals. President Kim turned to the investigation team. Dr. So Young, in your opinion, is there any possibility that their offer is genuine? Dr. So Young shook her head. No, sir. The biological evidence is clear. They are artificial beings created from the remains of conquered civilizations. They have no natural empathy or moral constraints. They exist only to expand the consortium. Engineer Dong Hyun, you asked the original question that started this investigation. Do you have any ideas for solutions? Dong Hyun stood up. Yes, sir. I think we should do what humans have always done when faced with impossible situations. Which is? We should refuse to accept that the situation is impossible. Dr. So Young leaned forward. What do you mean exactly? I mean we should reject their entire framework, Dong Hyun explained. They are offering us 2 choices, submit or be destroyed, but those are not the only choices. We can create a third choice. General Wu Jin raised an eyebrow. Such as? Can make ourselves into the threat they are trying to protect against. The room went quiet. Finally, President Kim spoke. Explain. Dong Hyun walked to the front of the room. The consortium has succeeded for centuries because they prey on peaceful, cooperative civilizations. But they are afraid of this new threat from deep space. What if that new threat is not actually hostile? What if it is just unpredictable? Go on, encouraged Taemin. What if the consortium cannot handle beings who refuse to follow their rules, who ask inconvenient questions, who create chaos instead of order? Engineer Kyung-ho Park understood immediately. You want us to become ungovernable. Exactly. Not just ungovernable, but actively problematic. We become the kind of civilization that the consortium cannot absorb, because we cause more trouble than we are worth. Captain Mi-jin smiled for the first time in weeks. You want us to be so difficult that they give up and leave us alone. Not just difficult, Dong-hyun corrected. I want us to be scary. Dr. Ji-Hoo-yoon, the psychology specialist, spoke up. From a behavioral standpoint, this could work. Predators always choose easy prey over difficult prey. If we make ourselves more trouble than we are worth, they might move on to easier targets. But how do we become scary to beings with technology thousands of years ahead of ours? Asked President Kim. Scientist Yeon Soo Choi had been thinking about this problem for days. We use what makes us uniquely human, she said. Our creativity, our unpredictability, our refusal to accept defeat. Be specific, ordered General Woo Jin. We show them that humans do not think like other species. When most beings are faced with a superior force, they either submit or try to negotiate. Humans do something different. What do? We study the enemy. We find their weaknesses, and we create weapons specifically designed to exploit those weaknesses. We do not fight fair, and we do not give up. Engineer Jin Woo-seo had been working on practical applications of this strategy. I have been analyzing their technology, he reported. They have some significant vulnerabilities, such as their ships are collections of absorbed technologies. That makes them powerful, but also unstable. If we could disrupt the integration between different technological systems, we could cause cascade failures. Captain Hyunwoo leaned forward. How would we do that? Computer viruses. Not random attacks, but specifically designed viruses that target the interfaces between different alien technologies. We create chaos in their systems. Communications Officer Yoon-ji raised her hand. I can help with that. I have been studying their communication protocols. I think I can create false messages that would confuse their coordination. What kind of false messages? Asked Mi-jin. Messages that make different consortium ships think other consortium ships are threats. Messages that trigger their defensive systems against each other. Dr. So-young had been thinking about biological warfare. We could also create biological agents that specifically target their artificial genetic structures. Since they are made from multiple species, they might be vulnerable to diseases that affect the interfaces between different genetic systems. Is that ethical? Asked President Kim. Sir, they are planning to process billions of humans into biological resources, So-young replied. I think ethics becomes secondary to survival. Historian Jae Sung had been researching successful resistance movements. Throughout human history, the most successful resistance strategies have combined multiple approaches, he reported. Military, action, psychological warfare, economic disruption, and cultural resistance. Give examples, requested Taemin. The American Revolution succeeded because the colonists combined conventional military tactics with guerrilla warfare and economic pressure. The British could not adapt to fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules of civilized warfare. The Finnish resistance against the Soviet Union worked because they made conquest more expensive than it was worth, added General Woo Jin. Chang Min spoke up. So, there is something else we should consider. The alien survivors I met are still out there. There might be other survivor groups hiding throughout the galaxy. What are you suggesting? Asked President Kim. We could try to contact other survivors and coordinate resistance efforts. The consortium might be powerful, but they are also spread thin across hundreds of worlds. If multiple survivor groups started causing trouble simultaneously, it could overwhelm their ability to respond. Engineer Dong-hyun nodded. That fits with the overall strategy. We become not just a difficult target, but the center of a galaxy-wide resistance movement. How do we contact other survivors without the consortium detecting our communications? Asked Yoon-ji. We use their own communication networks, Chang Min replied. We hide our messages inside their routine data transmissions. Dr. Ji-hoo had been thinking about the psychology of the situation. There is another advantage to this approach, he said. The consortium has been successful because they are patient and methodical. They spend decades carefully absorbing civilizations. But if we force them to respond quickly to multiple threats, we disrupt their preferred timeline. And rushed decisions lead to mistakes, added Mi-jin. Exactly. We force them to operate in crisis mode instead of planned mode. President Kim looked around the room. So our strategy is to make ourselves ungovernable, disrupt their technology, spread resistance to other civilizations, and force them to make hasty decisions. That is correct, sir, Dong-hyun confirmed. And what if they decide to simply destroy us rather than deal with the trouble? Then at least other civilizations will know that resistance is possible, Tae-min replied. The consortium's greatest weapon is the belief that resistance is futile. If we prove that wrong, we change everything. There is one more element, added So-young. We need to make them understand that humans are not like other species they have encountered. We need to show them that we get more dangerous when we are threatened, not less dangerous. General Wu Jin smiled grimly. How do we demonstrate that? Engineer Jin Woo had the answer. We give them exactly what they asked for. They want to see our military capabilities, we show them our military capabilities, meaning we demonstrate human weapons technology, human battle tactics, human approaches to warfare. But instead of offering to use these abilities for them, we make it clear that we will use them against anyone who threatens us, including them, especially them. President Kim made his decision. Very well. We implement this strategy. But first we need to send a message to the consortium. We need to respond to their offer officially. What will we tell them? Asked Tae-min. Dong-hyun smiled. We tell them the truth. We tell them we know what they really are and what they really want. And then we give them a choice. What choice? They can leave our solar system peacefully, or they can find out why humans have survived every extinction event our planet has ever thrown at us. The next morning, Ambassador Tae-min requested a final meeting with the consortium. This time, the meeting was broadcast live to every human on Earth. World leaders wanted everyone to see what humanity was choosing. The first speaker appear,